Today we're doing a first look at the Traxxas UDR, and well, there it is. I've looked at it. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. I am genuinely excited about this release from Traxxas. I didn't think I'd ever be one of those types of people to say that, but there's so many great things about this truck that really got me enthusiastically interested in it that I had to have it.
It will be mine. Oh yes, it will be mine.
And you're probably saying to yourself, well, that's bizarre. Aren't you the Scale Builders Guild? There's not a lot of room for bashing or speed or any of those things in what you guys do there. Well, you're wrong. There is, and that's mostly because of the detail that Traxxas put into this truck. Yes, it is fast. It says so on the box. It'll go 50 miles per hour. That's ridiculously fast, something I'm absolutely not used to, but something I'm definitely willing to give a shot, mainly because it really nails all of the details. Initially, the plan was to do an actual unboxing, but 9 times out of 10, I find them super boring. So we're not going to waste any time fumbling with this thing, trying to get it out of the box. As one of my viewers so eloquently put it, enough of your ugly face and show us more of the truck. So here's the truck. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so right away, the first thing that you're going to notice about the Traxxas UDR is it's huge. This is a really big truck. I'm already worried about where I'm going to put this thing, if I'm honest. I'm going to say it's probably close to 1/7, maybe even 1/6 scale. It is really big. It's an imposing stance. The body is phenomenal. The graphics are really, really nice to look at. There's a lot of detail in even the stickers and even in the multicam white base color. There's a lot going on here, a lot of different textures and a lot of different colors, and the scheme is nice. It looks really good. It looks fast, and it looks appropriate for what I would assume is, you know, meant for the Baja and meant to be out in the dirt. This thing is meant to be seen and not missed, that's for sure. It's pretty cool. I don't know what hashtag beef means. I presume it has something to do with food, maybe? Maybe it's like a hamburger company. I don't know. But it definitely looks great. Just like the initial exterior it's pretty in your face. It's pretty wow. To keep that body in place along the sides, they've included 2 runners that sort of holds the body in place. It is screwed to the chassis, of course, but those are just a little extra protection against debris and scrapes and rocks and such that might damage the body along that bottom edge. There's a lot of really nice scale details, and I think that's what drew me to this truck initially, is that it looks the part. It's not just a go fast with, you know, a very weak Lexan body that sort of looks like a truck. This looks like they took a full-size desert racing truck and just scaled it down in all details. It's pretty spectacular. This is, I think, for the speed and for its intended purpose, this is probably something new, not just from Traxxas, but from any manufacturer. It's pretty unique. The BF Goodrich tires are licensed KR3 replicas. They look great. The compound is harder than I was expecting, but when you keep in mind the overall weight of this vehicle, it kind of makes sense that they went with a harder compound, especially as an RTR. It's going to see a lot of abuse and a lot of mixed media running, whether it be on dirt or asphalt or sand or rocky surfaces. They wanted to make sure they had something that was going to cover all of those elements. If you look closely behind the wheels, you will notice that there are brake discs and calipers included. I thought this was a nice scale detail. It's something that I don't often see, especially in something as fast as this truck, so it's very encouraging to see Traxxas take that time to find those details and add them to this truck. 2 functional spare tires mounted to the rear with wheels. There's a lot of really cool scale details on the back of the truck, and I think we should take a look at that before we do anything else. Oh my gosh, it's so big. They've also included Fox reservoirs, some fire extinguishers, fans on the radiator, a spare functional drive shaft, some oil cans, some batteries. It looks like a jack in the back there. It's really, honestly, quite scaled out for the size and for its intended purpose. I'm surprised that Traxxas took the time to put this much detail into it. It's almost so good looking that it could be a shelf queen. I'm not going to shelf queen it. I promise there will be no shelving of this truck. It will get used.
You guys silly? I'm still gonna send it.
And that brings me to my first point that I don't think anyone's mentioned in any of the previous reviews that I've seen. Traxxas has actually trademarked Pro Scale. Now, what does that mean to me? Well, I think that means that we're going to see more vehicles in this kind of style where they really take the detail to that next level and they add a lot of features and a lot of maybe non-functional items, but items nonetheless that really make the truck look real. I hope I'm right on that because I would love to see Traxxas take their existing TRX4 and give it the Pro Detail trademarked treatment. Moving on past the details that are on the exterior of the truck, let's take a look at the interior for a moment. We're seeing nice half drivers, which torso up with arms and a steering wheel. Nice molded helmets with some articulation there, so you can make the navigator maybe look out the window instead of the front windshield. Why not? Lots of gauges and stickers and such to kind of make it look even more realistic. It is all very shiny though. I would have loved to have seen them do a dull coat on that interior, just to knock it all back a bit and to give it a bit more realism, because I've never seen anybody in person that's so shiny. That's the only strike I can find against that one. It's nice to have an interior that has some depth to it. It's not full depth. There's a lot of electronics under there, and I'm not totally surprised by that. For a casual observer just looking at the truck's interior, it definitely looks like it's got a pretty decent one in there, and it's better than some of the other trucks that we've seen from, well, Traxxas themselves didn't do an interior on their TRX4, so to see an interior in this truck, definitely happy to see that. There are only 12 screws required to remove the body, but before we get into that, let's flip it over and take a look at the underside. Having this inverted tub chassis layout allows for easy maintenance, allows you to get into the mechanics and the batteries of the truck without having to take off the body, all from underneath. Definitely a nice innovation, definitely something I'm very happy about, because 99% of my scale trucks that I've built all require taking the body off to get to the battery, to get to the motor, to get to the ESC, to get to any of the moving parts. It's a total pain. So to be able to just flip this truck over, open up that battery tray, pull off a couple screws to get at the motor, transmission, gearing, whatever, very, very helpful. One disadvantage to owning a Traxxas vehicle is that they are starting to roll out, well, and I'm sure that this is fairly common on all their vehicles, they only want you to use Traxxas branded batteries. So they've made this truck very much that, and only allow Traxxas brand connectors to connect to the ESC. Of course, if you don't have Traxxas batteries for the time being, you can still maybe find one of these, which is just a Traxxas to Dean's connector. These work just fine, and you know, saves you having to go out and buy whole new batteries and a whole new charger, because with the smart batteries that they're using now, the sensor for balancing is actually in the plug. And whilst that's great for selling Traxxas chargers and batteries, it's sort of a pain for those of us who don't have either of those things. So you can run 4S, you can run 6S. They also include a dummy connector, so you can just run one pack of 4S or 6S capacity as well. To put the power from the 6S Valinion VXL system to this truck, Traxxas opted to have a front diff, a torque biasing center drive. I suggest you Google it if you want to find out what torque biasing is. And a lock differential in the rear axle. Looking at that axle though, you will notice that it is a bit larger than the standard typical rear axle. And with doing some additional research, I found that there is a planetary gear set in that diff in order to reduce the amount of torque twist. Rather than put the gear reduction at the transmission, they opted to put it at the rear diff. And that's the big reason why there isn't nearly as much torque twist in this vehicle. I can't wait to show that off. It's a very cool feature and definitely worth showing in the next video. Mated to the 6S VXL Valinion system is a 2200 kV 4-pole brushless motor. Plenty of power, plenty of torque, and plenty scary at 50 miles an hour. The rear drive shaft is all metal, and rather than telescope, it actually telescopes at the diff. It's interesting. I'd actually like to see the inside of that to see how that works. Overall though, it's a very robust looking driveline. It's a very heavy truck. The trailing arms that they included are plastic, and that was a bit worrisome for me considering the amount of abuse that this truck is going to take. I've yet to take it out, so I can't give you a full report on that yet, but it was surprising to me. I thought for sure if the upper links are metal, certainly the trailing arms are going to be metal as well. To keep that power down, Traxxas has included both front and rear sway bars. They've also added silicone limiting straps to the rear to make sure you don't extend the truck suspension beyond the limits of the drive shaft. There are 2 shocks on each corner. One is sprung and one is unsprung. They are of a significant diameter. They are large shocks. This is a heavy truck and it's definitely going to need some dampening on those hard landings. There is a ton of suspension travel in this truck. I just roughly estimate there's about 3 inches of travel, which is crazy amounts for a truck of this size. Underneath that body, there is a beautiful molded plastic cage that is a functional piece of the truck. It's not just for looks. It seems to hold everything together. I thought it was also cool that Traxxas included a few panels to fill out that cage. It's almost as if you could run this without it, and it would even have more of like a U4 buggy style look to it. That might be kind of cool, I don't know. Traxxas also includes their Traxxas Stability Management System in this truck. I presume it's something similar to what Spectrum has done with AVC. I'm not sure if it requires the Traxxas link or not. I will do some additional research on that feature. Traxxas includes the TQI 2-channel radio for this truck. This seems to be one of their more popular models and is featured in a lot of their vehicles. It's a nice radio, feels pretty decent in the hand, and is also Traxxas link enabled. So if you have the Bluetooth add-on and an iPhone, you can control many additional features via that link. Its construction is very solid. There's a lot of plastic, there is some metal, but as we all know, Traxxas is very well versed in creating very strong, very robust trucks that handle a lot of abuse. Is this meant to be treated like a e-Revo or a Slash? Probably not. It's bigger, it's heavier, and it probably won't do many 50-foot jumps over your house. As for steering, this truck features a chassis-mounted metal-geared servo, the 2075X, and has a dual bell crank system. I don't know what that means, but I presume it's good. There's a lot going on here, and it's difficult to do a proper review without taking it out and running it a bit, and I definitely intend on doing that and following up with my reaction after we've done some of that driving. Thanks very much for watching this first look at the Traxxas UDR. I'm very excited about this truck and I cannot wait to get some actual running video of it. I think it's going to look great on film and I've got some pretty cool ideas planned for it. So hopefully you'll tune in for that as well. Thanks so much for watching and we'll see you again soon.